Every time I do it, big. Yeah. Uh-huh. Wait, whoa. What? Huh. And let's do... Okay, so we need to pull something up real quick. Testing, 1, 2, 3, okay. Do I have a Beats folder? That's a question. Backup drive, do I have Beats? All right, let me... Headphones. Gotta pull up the chat, yo. All right, let me... Headphones. Pop out chat. Gotta pull up the chat, yo. Okay, testing, 1, 2, 3. Is that faced good? Right there. Okay. So we got 1. Huh. Okay. Cool. Testing, 1, 2, 3. We're all good. Audio's on. We're gonna let some people roll in here real quick. Yeah, be right back. Gotta grab a drink. Okay, cool. Hey, shout outs to everybody. I'm going to grab a drink real quick and then we're going to get cracking in about a minute or two. So just bear with me, fellas. Okay. All right, let's get it, bro. I want to know. So for me, I've been binging between 2 fragrances lately. Turn this down just a little bit. I've been binging between 2 fragrances like all week. I've dabbled in some others, but like ones I've spun the block on is 2 fragrances in particular. Scent of the day. Matter of fact, scent of the week. What scent did you wear this week that you either spun the block on and doubled back and ran it up again? Or just in general, what fragrance this week made you feel the best when you wore it? You were like, you know what? This fit me today. Sometimes you just grab and go. Sometimes you think you're onto something, but you're not. But then some days you grab a fragrance and you're moving and shaking through traffic. You're doing your thing and you're like, bro, I love how I feel when I wear this. Scent of the week. Let me know. Shout outs Joel, shout outs Gage. I know we got more in the chat. It says we got 16 or something like that. The two fragrances that I have been wearing virtually all week outside of stuff that I just have to test for you guys for the upcoming channel on the scent bubble is in fact Vetiver Sensual from Mancera. As you can see, I've ran up the juice on this quite a bit. You guys know I'm a sucker for vetiver. I had to double back on my Vetiver Sensual. And this is a sleeper, bro. Halloween Man Shot. Big bottle. Is this 150 or is this 200? 125. I got a 125 of Halloween Man Shot off Facebook group, full bottle for 20 bucks. Insane. This is almost like a Profumo take. What Profumo is to Acqua di Gio, this is to like Invictus Aqua. If Invictus Aqua had a mysterious, incensey, fresh, darker, mysterious fragrance, it would be Halloween Man Shot. But I can't even call it that because honestly, Halloween Man EDT goes so crazy, and to me it's better than Invictus, that really it's Invictus trying to be Jesus de Pozo and not the other way around. Insane. If you guys want, I know I was watching Attack of the Colognes live tonight, and he told everybody to like his video, and I tried to like it, but I had to like click a certain options menu to even be able to pull up the ability to like the live. So I understand, you know, if you guys know how to like the video on a live, feel free. If you don't know how, I completely understand, because YouTube does not make it easy. If you're watching it from home on a computer, yeah, but if you're mobily tuned into a live, they do not make that like button super accessible. Let's go ahead and turn this off. Why is this not full screen? There we go. Perfect. Okay, and we're gonna test this out. To be honest with you guys, I'm gonna go live tonight on my computer, this is where we're at. We're at my desktop, and then tomorrow I'm gonna go live on my cell phone, because I think since I'm live streaming vertical and not doing it completely true to the cell phone, I think they're docking a lot of my engagement. My engagement has been sliced in like a third. Not on my normal channel, not on my reels. Those are still all popping off. But when I go live, for some reason, they've been docking my viewership. It's normally in the thousands. Now it's in the hundreds, which at the end of the day, I don't care. But if there's a specific reason that's happening, then I'd like to change it. So I'm going to test going live from my cell phone next time around. Yeah, so sudden little family emergency that I had to tend to, Joel. Joel was asking, you know, what happened in my last live. It just kind of abruptly stopped, and I had some things that I had to tend to, and unfortunately the time that it took to kind of resolve those matters, I didn't really have a chance to jump on the community page and tell you guys. And so with time, that kind of fizzled out to just not really putting on the community page why I left. I noticed when I left, there weren't that many people anyways, so I didn't feel like super obligated to jump on my community page and be like, oh guys, sorry for the live cutoff last time. I hope you understand this is what happened. There wasn't that many people in here when I left. So I was like, you know what? They'll just understand that normally that's completely uncharacteristic of me. And he probably has had a valid reason why. But yeah, if there were a lot of people tuned into that episode, I would have posted about it sooner so people weren't tripping. But yeah, I had some family stuff come up. Well, just for so yeah, for me, you know, Mancera's Vetiver Sensual and Halloween Man Shot have been just bangers for me. It's tough because I feel like Vetiver Sensual is so ambery that there's such a radiance to this profile. Citruses, vetiver, woods, grassy even, that it's more like a spring summertime frag or just any season, any reason. But I think it shines better in warmer weather because it really heats up and pops off of skin. But it's cold out here right now. It's freezing cold. But I love vetivers so much. I have to any season, any reason this, and I'm wearing it for colder weather. But as far as like a straight cold weather banger for me, Man Shot has just been absolutely killing the game for me. And good to hear, Joel, that you got in some new fragrances, man. I need to, Joel, I don't know if I haven't been tuning in for a while, but I'm going to go to your channel real quick. Like my YouTube has been, not recommending me to certain people who I do follow statistically. I haven't been seeing a lot of your content at all. I need to look it up. Joel's Matrix. I was like, man, I haven't been seeing Joel at all. There we go. Oh, Joel, you haven't been posting. Yeah, you got to post more, brother. That's why. Yeah. Okay, so when I was tuning in, I was just manually tuning into your stuff. Well, I shot you a follow, buddy. You got to go, you got to put something out, man. I don't care if you go live for 2 seconds. You got to put something out. Every fragrance, 90% of the fragrances that you've mentioned, I've never even heard of. So I need to see you go live more. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Joel. Time is only an issue for people who are trying to do something really official, to me. Like, don't look at it as it's a fragrance channel. Because if you call yourself a fragrance channel, you're going to give yourself fragrance channel rules. Literally just, I don't care if you're sitting in your car right before you pull up to work or when you leave, turn the camera on for 5 minutes and talk about a fragrance. Don't worry about production value. Don't worry about dress up. People don't create content majority-wise because they believe it takes too many steps to accomplish. So strip all the fat out of that process so that all you have to do is have a cell phone, have a record button, and talk for a very brief time about a fragrance or something that has to do with fragrance, and turn the camera on. And I assure you, you will simplify your life in such a way where it doesn't matter if you upload one video a month or one video a week, you'll still enjoy doing it because nothing's stopping you. And once you have that baseline of just the freedom to create, then you open yourself up for room for seasons where you can go into production value or seasons where you could do a full episode the way you want it. But some motion is better than no motion. And the more you officiate and officialize yourself and what you want to bring to the table, the more you rob yourself of all of the beginner steps to just actually being a participant. So I know for me, you know, this channel got more official as time went on when I got in a season where I was able to materialize some of my visions. But the most important thing is that I turned the camera on and I started. And it doesn't matter what type of frequency or consistency. It just, your process needs to be so easy that you can't make an excuse for not to get on. Because you do have the time. It's just maybe your time is extremely limited. So you need to have an extremely limited process for how you create. But at the end of the day, my opinion is like butts. Everybody's got one. But yeah, I hope you do create some content, because it sounds like a lot of the fragrances that you jump into are stuff I've never even heard of. And so I think the community could benefit from not only your choices, but your perspective. Shout out Bracelet. We will definitely spin. 3, 2, 1, go. And while our wheel is spinning, I got to say, Gage, I got to be honest. We don't hand out free boosts over here, buddy. If you have something to do with fragrance, we'll definitely jump by and check out what you got. If not, you know, you need to just create content and organically get people to come follow you because your stuff's interesting. Don't look for free likes and free follows. YouTube will actually penalize you for that. YouTube wants to see that you generate fans specific to what you do, and they will reward you if you're a consistent content creator. I would reckon that if you have to go to one person individually to ask them for follows and help, then you're just simply not creating enough content, so YouTube doesn't really know about you. But keep at it, bro. Keep tuning in. One day I'll stop by your channel if I see it's popping and being consistent. I don't care about fans and statistics and all that. I just care about, am I supporting something in the realm of what we do? And what we do is fragrance. But I wish you nothing but the best, bro. Really do. You keep going with your channel, man. I'm all about YouTube and getting it cracking. Okay, so for those of you who don't know Wheel of Fragrance, let's just jump into it really quick. I have several different wheels that have to do with fragrance. This one is Job Edition. So it's going to go to the occupation of somebody, and I have it ranging from normal to extreme to awkward. So we have a bunch of different ways to be creative. But when we land on an occupation, I want you to think of a fragrance that you think that occupation would have. So in this case, we have 5-star restaurant server. I'm going to play this game regardless, so you guys at home can just view my recommendations if that's what you're into. But if you want to participate, feel free in the chat to let me know what you would pick each time I do a wheel spin. So in this case, it's 5-star restaurant server. So I'm going to go into my bag. I used to go into my fragrance collection and grab the fragrance and stand here and smell it with you guys. But I'm going to be quite honest. Getting off camera and grabbing fragrances is annoying. So what we're going to do for today is when I have a fragrance, I'm just going to type it into Fragrantica and show you what the fragrance is that I would recommend. Go through the note profile and go back to the spins. That way you guys don't have to wait 10 to 30 seconds each time we get a wheel spin while I wait and go grab the fragrance. I'll just show you the bottle. The cool thing about my lives is since I run them through PC, it looks like it's a cell phone video because I've switched the orientation to vertical. But the great thing about doing it on PC is I can actually just show you the internet. So I've got the internet pulled up on the bottom here, which is how you're seeing my wheel spin, my webcam up top, and we're going to get it cracking. So just give me a quick second. I'm going to play some music while I think of what fragrance we're going to go for 5-star. I can see Joel already has some suggestions. So restaurant servers, we've got food involved. So you're not really going to want a fragrance that interacts with food. You're going to have salty, savory in the air. So you're probably going to want something fairly dry. There's heat involved, so amber would go fresh. Okay, I've got it. Restaurant server. My final choice is going to be by the House of FOMO, and it is Fragheads Asylum Extrait to Parfum. This is an inspiration of Roja Parfum's Elysium. For those of you who have never smelled Elysium, Elysium is very much a, I would call it a spring, summer, freshy fragrance with charm. When I say freshy, it's just a slang term for like a fresh, aromatic, sometimes aquatic, lively, invigorating, most likely citrus-based type of fragrance. So when I say freshy with charm, what I'm saying is in the fresh category, you have different types of freshy, right? Fresh citrus, fresh sweet fruit, fresh linen, fresh floral, fresh green, fresh aquatic. You have different categories within the freshy fragrance, right? And these are fragrances you can wear out of the shower, fragrances you can wear spring, summer, fragrances you can wear out for casual errands. They have an invigorating, lively, aromatic, fresh sense to them. And they're normally easy to wear. They're normally pretty versatile, sometimes, for the most part. So for those of you who don't know about Elysium, Elysium has a lot of things going for it. It's mainly citruses, woods, and vetiver. So that's why they've listed on Fragrantica here this earthy note, because it has vetiver in the base, which kind of gives it like sophistication and a little bit of earthiness, because vetiver comes from the ground. So that's what gives it that earthy, sometimes grassy, sometimes soapy feel. What I like about Fragheads Asylum is, for a fresh fragrance, it's really an exquisite freshie with charm. So like, it's not just a fresh fragrance, but it has a lot of signature to it. There's not going to be a lot of profiles that have it. And I'm going to show you why. A lot of fragrances, well, first let me just say this. So Elysium is normally a several $100 fragrance, maybe in the $200-300. I don't recall. It fluctuates quite often, but that fragrance is extremely expensive. What the House of FOMO has done is they were inspired by Elysium to try and create a duplicate fragrance that somewhat 80 to 90% or higher clones the fragrance, but charge much less for it. So if you go on discounters right now, you can get Fragheads Asylum large 100 milliliter bottle for $20 to $25. And so that's really special. If you can get Roja Parfums Elysium DNA for not just cheaper, but insanely cheaper, you know, like 90% off of the fragrance, and you can get a large bottle that you can add into your collection, you've got something really special. I really like everything about this fragrance. I really think Gary's Den, because they made 3 different fragrances in this FOMO line. I think now they have 4 or even 5 renditions of this type of bottle, but cloning a different fragrance. But yeah, what's really special about Elysium is it's a freshie with charm. You know, you have citruses and woods, but then the quality of the vetiver in this fragrance is special. And there's a couple of key notes that I think when they mix together, they just complicate the fragrance and give it a lot of charm and signature, where most fresh fragrances will stop. Most fresh fragrances will just go fresh aquatic, fresh wood, fresh green, fresh fruit, and they'll just stop there. You know, they'll say, okay, we're going to do lemon, amber, and vetiver and call it a day. They've complicated this fragrance up to have more signature, and here's why. So on the top, we have grapefruit, lemon, and pink pepper. So we have this invigorating, somewhat soapy, but mostly lemon, grapefruity, citrus type of vibe. The pink pepper is not really noticeable on Fragheads Asylum, but it is very noticeable in a very smooth way on actual Elysium, to kind of just spritz up and kind of almost give Elysium a kind of carbonic, not carbonic, but a more carbonated feel, like a spritz to it. It's not just invigorating, but it has kind of like this seltzer type of zing or bitterness off of it. And then in the middle, we have jasmine and iris. And I like that because it's contrasting, right? White flowers kind of can tend to smell linen-y, sweet, aromatic, cooling. But they mix it with this powdery, lipsticky iris. And now this iris doesn't come through like Dior Homme or Dior Homme Sport or Dior Homme Parfum. But because it's there, it adds another dimension to the floral. So you have this white, clean linen floral, this dusty iris that kind of creates this edge to the fruity top, where it takes it somewhere else. It goes citrus, invigorating, it goes sweet, but then it goes soft due to the florals, but then it even has some other kind of notes that blend off. And I think the iris amber vetiver combo is really doing it, that kind of knock down the grapefruit lemon vibe and take it into the earthy, the sweet, the floral. And then in the base, I always tell people most great fragrances have vetiver in the base. Not most at like 90%, but well over 50% of fragrance has vetiver in the middle or in the base. Typically, you'll find it in the base. And because vetiver can have so many different renditions, vetiver can, you know, it's a part of a grassy root in the earth, and it can be rendered based off of its harvest in several different ways. It can be clean, it can be soapy, it can be fresh, it can be green, it can be woody. It depends on how you extract it and what part of the vetiver you extract, what the note will smell like of vetiver. So vetiver in Ancre Noir smells like black ink. Vetiver in Tom Ford's gray vetiver smells like slightly grapefruited soap. But it's the same vetiver, just extracted differently. So because of its different renderings, a lot of people put it in the base because it adds this earthiness, which is sophistication typically with a male fragrance, but also because it can bend you different ways, and it quite often accents so many different notes in a very subtle way while giving this kind of sophistication and expensive quality that people might desire in a fragrance. Then we have agarwood, which I don't quite get in the fragrance. I think a lot of times when wood is in the base, it's just kind of grounding a lot of the top and mid. I don't really distinctly smell agarwood, but amber, absolutely. It definitely warms up on skin, and in hot weather, that grapefruit, that juicy grapefruit, slightly floral, slightly woody, earthy, just really pops. And I like Elysium, the original, because it's one of those fragrances where every time you walk by the individual, your nose is drawn to different parts of the fragrance. You might walk by a guy and smell grapefruit. You might walk by and smell pink pepper. You might walk by and catch iris. You might walk by and catch jasmine. You might walk by and catch vetiver. You might walk by and just smell warm, sweet amber. It genuinely is a fragrance where in its variations, they all kind of move individually, but collectively. And that's why it has the signature, because there's moments of blend and then there's moments of separation, but it's no question that they all really go together. So freshy with charm, citrus, earthy, slightly floral is the package deal you're getting with Elysium. And it's also one of the most cloned fragrances of all time in the inspiration, clone, and dupe category. For that reason, I had to try a Fragheads Asylum, and Fragheads Asylum is extremely well done. I would call it 90 to 95% close to Elysium, and it may even outperform Elysium, even though Elysium Original is a little bit, I hate to use the word better, but it has a little bit more complexity to it, just in the tiniest regard. Whereas I think Fragheads Asylum nails a little bit more performance out of the fragrance, because as a freshie, typically you're spraying north of 6 to 8 sprays, especially if you're in a hot area. You might even go 7+, even 10-ish arena, which if you don't wear a lot of different fragrances, that might sound ludicrous to you, but that's completely normal for many people that wear fragrance on fresh fragrances to really ramp up the sprays, do 6 up front, 4 out the back, whatever, just different combos and stuff like that, because some fragrances benefit in longevity, but as you go higher in sprays, it doesn't really change the formulation or make it harsh. But nonetheless, Fragheads Asylum, I think at bare minimum is about 90% close to Elysium, and it's a spectacular fragrance. So if you ever go to a Neiman Marcus or you buy a decant of Elysium and then you spend the $20 on FOMO Fragheads Asylum Extrait de Parfum, you will be thrilled that you bought the clone as opposed to Elysium, because another thing you have to think about is because it's a fresh fragrance, you have to put more sprays to get longevity out of it. And so why not get something that has a little bit more performance and something that, spending $20 to $25 on, you won't care that you have to do 10 sprays when you go out with it, because you can run through the juice for $20 as opposed to paying $200-$300. And now you're spraying yourself less, you're getting weaker performance, and you feel like every time you spray your body, you're giving away $5, $10. Oh shoot, one day of 10 sprays, you've spent $20 worth of juice. So yeah, Fragheads Asylum is absolutely excellent. These notes pair together perfectly. And I think when it comes to Asylum, a lot of the clones such as Trillium and other fragrances that more closely copy the Elysium bottle presentation, I think that those all, just like Elysium, have poor performance and even weaker performance than Elysium, whereas this is the one clone I've found that actually outperforms Elysium and actually still has the full DNA package that Elysium provides, scaled down just the tiniest bit, unnoticeable to the average smeller, for lack of better words. Looking at the chat real quick, I know I've kind of not been engaging with chat because, I got on my little fragrance spiel. Let's see. 5-star restaurant, Serge Luten's Chergui. Joel, you must not be from the States, and if you are, you must not be American. I have to justify why you constantly recommend fragrances I've never heard of. This has a lot of really interesting contrasting notes, man. I'm interested to see what it actually says. Tobacco, honey, amber, hay, incense, sandalwood, iris, musk, and rose. Now, this is interesting because this is a really interesting note profile, just in general as a fragrance. But I don't know if I would be bold enough to wear this as a restaurant server, If you're 5-star and you're at an exquisite restaurant and you pull up to the table as a server smelling like tobacco, honey, amber, incense, iris, rose, musk, all very, I don't want to say polarizing, but all very strong notes in their own right. I don't know if that would be very jarring for somebody going to a restaurant, especially if you're walking by, you're wafting crazy. I don't know if I would pick that for a restaurant, but restaurant aside, I think that's a really interesting note pairing that I'd be interested in. It's almost like part of it makes me feel like it might be like Jean Paul Gaultier Elixir, black and gold bottle, like partly that, maybe partly what's another fragrance this reminds me of? Something in the realm of is it Parfums de Marly? What's Hercules? Hercules or Parzival, one of those is a tobacco honey fragrance. Makes me think like what this might smell like, but it looks pretty affordable. So I wonder if they have any decants of this fragrance. It's got 1 5-star review, so it looks like it's pretty niche. Cool, man. Thank you for recommending that fragrance. It's definitely one I haven't put my nose to yet. Let's see. Bro, you got to try Lattafa Kingdom. Yeah, I know, William. I want to do Kingdom. I think Kingdom, is that a LV clone? Oh, it's Jean Paul Gaultier Le Male Elixir. Yeah, that is what it is. Le Male Elixir. Yeah, I've heard great things about it. Here's my thing, bro. Like, I'm not the biggest Jean Paul Gaultier fan, to be honest. I've reviewed them recently on my channel just to like, if I'm a hater of a fragrance, I try to still bring it on my channel because I try to give each fragrance a fair shot. But also because sometimes my nose changes. So like, for instance, I used to just blatantly hate all JPG fragrances. And then I'm like, you know what? Le Male Elixir is actually pretty fire. It's toned down on the sweetness. It's very similar, to be honest, to Halloween Man Shot. Maybe just a little more tobacco and a little more honey in Jean Paul. But these are Le Male Elixir and this fragrance are neighbors dang near with no real harsh tobacco-y contrast. But it definitely, they're sitting in the backyard together. But yeah, I think I might try Kingdom for sure. Once the price comes down, I'm going to try to get it for a steal. Just because I'm in Arizona, so it's mostly hot weather. So even if I love the fragrance, I'll only be able to wear it like for the next month or two. You know what I'm saying? So it has to be a banger for me to get 100 ml. I might just look for one of my homies who have it and just trade them, like a 10 ml decant. Which, by the way, if you guys want to see some of the new fragrances that will be on the show coming up in recent episodes, we have Polo 67, Acqua di Gio, and I have tons of... This is just some of them. I've got so many, guys. Vetiver Sensual is going to be on the channel, but some Fragrance World, some French Avenue, some Aqua Dubai, some Polo, some Aqua di Gio, some Prada, some Givenchy, some 1 Million, some YSL, quite a bit of YSL, some Azzaro's Most Wanted. I'm trying to really balance out the channel. So we're going to go name brand Sephora for about 15 fragrances. Then we're going to go with some niche. We still haven't covered this yet. Malin and Goats or Goatees, I don't know. They have some interesting fragrances in here. A fragrance called Bergamot, one called Cannabis, one called Dark Rum, one called Leather, one called Strawberry, one called Vetiver. Just curious. I want to smell that leather one. Because most of these cheaper leathers don't really appeal to me. Let me grab a test strip. I'm kind of curious. This might just be a hot take on this. Love the atomizer on these samples. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. It's very rare that you can find a leather fragrance that I feel like you can wear in warm weather. One of my most recent pickups that I was like, you know, banging on for the longest time was Ferragamo's Bright Leather. It was like one of the first leathers that I came across that wasn't so cowboy. You can actually wear it in warmer weather. I think Ombre Leather by Tom Ford you can rock in warm weather if you're indoors, but I don't really think it was designed for that. I think it's cold weather centric leaning for me. Yeah, the opening is really fresh on this. It's almost like a fresh cut of leather with a touch of almost like malty, like it's what would be the note? It's weird. It's almost like a cross between like bubble gum and like, it's weird, man, because I'm gonna tell you, like it smells a lot more appealing in the opening, but then on the dry down, it almost turns into like burnt rubber, some gasoline, pinched into some bubble gum. Yeah, not a fan of the leather. I want to see, just curious, if Fragrantica has it. Let's see, Malin and Goats Leather Fragrantica. So let's see what they have here. That fragrance, let me dig it out of the trash. That fragrance reminded me of something. Yeah, that fragrance reminds me of something. Not something good, though. Jeez, that fragrance sucks. It started off very interesting. Yeah, see, yeah, that's what I'm smelling. Pepper and cloves. It's almost like they tried to take sweet flowers and collide it with harsh notes. The violet orchid lotus is so powerful, and that's what you get mostly in the opening. But then as the fragrance dries down, pepper and clove is clashing with violet orchid and lotus. So you have this sweet, soft white flower trying to compete over very harsh clove and pepper. And so you have this peppery flower, and then the leather almost can't even get through. The cedar either. The sandalwood is too much sweet. I think putting lotus and orchid and lily of the valley and violet leaf is like too much floral sweetness, but I think they put so much pepper and clove in it that they tried to knock it down. But they should have just used fresh white flowers and not sweet white flowers, then and just made it predominantly about kind of leather, and then just toned everything down. But yeah, you don't even really smell the leather that much. This winds up just being a pepper orchid fragrance, which doesn't smell good at all. Highly don't recommend this at all. And that's the hard part about a mid-tier fragrance, right? You know, when it's in the $40 price point, you start skimping and you really don't study the fragrance. Okay, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I really appreciate everybody tuning in. We're going to do one more wheel spin and I'm going to sign off for the night. I just wanted to kind of tune in and spend some time with you guys. So next spin, and this will be our last spin for the night, and I'm going to sign off, is going to be Golf Instructor. Okay, I'm going to turn some music on and think about what fragrance I'm going to rock with. And this will be the closer. All right. Okay, so to close out the episode, I've picked 2 fragrances for you guys. And before I do, let me just catch up on chat. Did you try a fresh vetiver? In my opinion, fresh vetiver is all ages, but earthy vetiver might be for a bit older. Yeah, you know, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, I completely agree with that sentiment. However, I do think that there are fresh vetiver fragrances that aren't all ages. So for instance, Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver is more of a clean, bright, soapy, invigorating vetiver. It really pairs dominantly with the grapefruit. That's a vetiver that, though it's many ages, like I think if you're probably north of 20 or north of 25, anyone can wear that vetiver, but I mean, it's not all ages to me. All ages would include kind of the teenage, young adult spectrum. But I do in general agree that vetiver, the more bitter and more earthy the vetiver, the darker the vetiver, the older the man, so to speak. But yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, I don't know a ton of, when you say vetiver fragrances, I'm kind of excluding in my mind fragrances that have vetiver, but that aren't pronounced. So like when I think of vetiver fragrances, I'm thinking of Ancre Noir, OG, Sport, and A la Extreme, Ancre Noir White, Ancre Noir Black, Ancre Noir, sorry, I'm an idiot. Ancre Noir OG, Sport, A la Extreme, Lalique White, Lalique Black, Lalique Black White, Lalique Ecus, Mancera's Vetiver Sensual, Terre d'Hermes, the whole lineup. Elysium in some ways could be considered a vetiver fragrance because it does have a very good dose of vetiver in it. But not to the same degree as Tom Ford. You know, then you have Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver. These are all like true vetiver fragrances. There's some I think there's a Guerlain that leans super heavy on the vetiver. I know I'm missing a couple others that I actually own. Vibrant Vetiver Delight. Yeah. But yeah, to be on, William says, to be honest, I'm not a huge freshy guy. I wear kind of sweet scents at the day in summer. Well, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with wearing sweet fragrances, but like younger men tend to like sweet fragrances. I say tend to because it's not a one size fits all. There's a guy on my channel that's clearly like 55 or in his 50s, and he only wears gourmand / extremely sweet fragrances. So it's definitely not a one size fits all judgment, but typically younger guys lean more on sweet fragrances that are above 5 out of 10 in terms of power of sweetness. Fragrances like Jean Paul Gaultier and stuff like that, Invictus, 1 Million, they love that kind of stuff. 25 and under kind of gets in that bag, where I think the 25 plus generally, very generally, lean on expanding the palette. So even if they like those things, they still are looking for earthy. They're still looking for woody. They're messing with florals a little bit more. They're messing with spices. They're messing with ouds a lot more. So yeah. But I do think that if you're wearing a lot of extra sweet fragrances in the summertime, you better be indoors, because no one wants the sun just beating on their face and they're hot and they're warm and they're perspirating a little bit. No one likes to smell extremely sweet aroma when it's just hot and sweaty. You know what I'm saying? Like, they want to be invigorated, something that would mimic a refreshing beverage. So what do you think? Sprite, refreshing beverage. Lemonade, refreshing beverage. Kool-Aid, citrus-based or fruit-based beverage. Ice cold water, things like that. So that's why those type of fragrances typically tend to fit better in the warmer climates. But at the end of the day, you do what you want and don't care what anybody else thinks. But I think it's important to make the decision about what fragrances you wear in light of the knowledge. Even if you never know the knowledge, that's cool. But to people who like fragrance and are interested in fragrance, it's almost good to do your due diligence in kind of understanding the psychology behind why some of these rules and pairings are made, so that when you do decide to wear your sweet fragrance in warm weather, it's an educated decision and not just an uneducated preference. I think people would respect that more, and you'll actually pick fragrances better after knowing what you know. Bro, you got to try FOMO's Illusion D'un Soir. I have. Said to be the best Grand Soir clone. I can testify that Illusion D'un Soir is not the best Grand Soir clone. And it not only isn't the best Grand Soir clone, but it's so far a remix of Grand Soir that I almost can't even call it a clone of Grand Soir. D'un Soir is probably a 70% close clone. I think anything under 80 doesn't warrant the name clone. D'un Soir is a vast veer off from Grand Soir, but it's still a good fragrance. But it's not Grand Soir. It's almost a stretch to call it Grand Soir. I think one of the closest fragrances to Grand Soir is Lattafa's Eternal Oud. That is more of like 90% close, but it lacks the creamy, ambery, seductive aspect of it. If Grand Soir was Dior Homme, right? Creamy, powdery iris. Eternal Oud would be Dior Homme Parfum. It has a more dusted, vanillic, amber, spicy feel. Whereas the original stays true to kind of this creamy, smooth, almost buttery, even vanillic spice, amber type of fragrance. But yeah, I think Eternal Oud kills D'un Soir in terms of accuracy, but D'un Soir is probably 70% in the realm of, and it's still a good fragrance. But if you're chasing Grand Soir as a DNA, you will not find it in D'un Soir. In fact, when most reviewers do their reviews of all three fragrances that first came out, and I'm not talking about the green one, you have Fraghead's Asylum blue bottle, you have D'un Soir red bottle, and then you have Gary's Den, which is like a brownish bottle. Gary's Den is the most insanely accurate, 95+% close to Dior Homme Parfum. Fraghead's Asylum is about a 90% out of 100 close to Elysium, outperforms it, but is slightly inaccurate, but still up there, 90%. D'un Soir is considered the least closely accurate clone out of what those three were going after. So The other two did well as clones. Dunswar is almost considered its own fragrance entirely. So yeah, that's just a good rule of thumb. Go with Lattafa Eternal Oud instead. There are one or two other Grand Soir clones, but they're definitely not as popular or as much available as Eternal Oud. So back to the golf instructor. And I'll get back to chat in just a second. Acqua di Gio, Eau de Parfum, the latest rendition, I think would go perfect for the golf instructor because this is the most greenest, herbalist version, I think, of ADG. This one distinctly, unlike vetiver, which kind of has this sophisticated bitter bite of earthiness, this bite is more on the lemongrass accord type of vibe. It's not a bite, it's a zing. It's got a green zing. And it even has somewhat of an herbal quality to it, almost like a chamomile. So picture like a lemongrass chamomile spin-off of the Acqua di Gio dusted frost bottle, or even Profumo or Profondo. So you could say Profondo with lemongrass and chamomile, or the original Acqua di Gio, or even the Parfum, but just more green lemongrass herbal. This would bounce really well off of skin. It would interact with the turf and the grass, and it's one of the most original, versatile DNAs in terms of mass appeal of all time. So I think that would pair extremely well with a golfer. Here's a left field one. This is Moncler's La Corday. And I think the best way to describe this fragrance is kind of lemon. There's two ways you can approach this DNA. One, you could say it's lemon tea. Right? It kind of has like that lemon heads. It smells like lemon heads was dipped in green tea or in chamomile. Like a really fresh, it's almost like it's confused on whether it wants to be lemon heads or like pine sol. It really sucks because something like La Corday by Moncler, I think can be somewhere in the realm of like $80 to $150-ish. And though it's a decent freshie, I don't think a lot of people, if they smelled this in store, would buy it just off the fact that it kind of goes in the realm of pine sol. But it can also go in the direction of lemonhead candy lemons with like some tea. But nonetheless, this would be a great fragrance for a golf instructor. The golf instructor outside would smell like warm lemonhead candy ramped up in freshness. There even is a little bit of green, so like the earthy grass and wind would waft this fragrance to just be the most light, airy, fresh. It'd almost be like Elysium's lemonhead cousin, but just way more aromatic and lighter. This is certainly an interesting fragrance, but I think they sell this in like 120 ml. Let's just check. Yeah, I don't care whether you call it bergamot or lemon. It's a very, very bright citrus. So bergamot and tea, or lemon tea, or lemon heads dipped in black tea. I wouldn't call it black tea because the aroma is more green tea, but that's probably just due to the cypress. I don't think this fragrance warrants $174. Now, granted, you get 125 ml of juice, but there's not enough versatility. I guess it's versatile if you really, really like this profile. And this is going to piss a lot of people off, but I think something like Armaf Tre Nuit and Vibrant Vetiver Delight from Amir can get you enough in the realm of what Moncler's going for without the linearness impacting your wallet. Like, because here's the thing. Do you want to smell the higher quality citrus at a premium of $150 more? Or do you want to just save all that money and spend $20 on Vibrant Vetiver Delight, or shoot, $40 getting Tre Nuit and having that lemon green Irish tweed vibe, and having Vibrant Vetiver Delight where you smell like a really expensive spritzed Sprite? I have a hard time justifying that over this scent, because at some point this Moncler fragrance gets a bit pine solly. And yes, it's a high quality fresh pine sol, but at the end of the day, I don't think anyone wants to smell like pine sol unless they're kind of freaky. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're just different and it's them. Equality Fragrance, I think, talks about this fragrance a little bit. And I'm a big fan of EQ. Like, I really love his perspective, his simplicity. He can kind of get into his complex bag and his simple bag. And he recommends genuinely many fragrances I've never tried before. I think he gives this fragrance a lot of love. But this is a no for me. Different strokes for different folks. He's not wrong. But I disagree on that fragrance being worth the money, let alone great. I think it's just a good fragrance. But on my neck of the woods, we don't spend anything north of $100 if the fragrance is just good. And that's my 2 cents. Yeah, so those are my recommendations. Moncler's La Corday and Acqua di Gio EDP for the golf instructor. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. Let's look at some last minute chats here. Jacques Fathele Donan is part of my haul, as 3 different vetivers in it and other notes. I'm going to do my due diligence, Joel, because you spend such a good amount of time recommending very unique fragrances. I want to show you some love. I try not to skip over your feedback. Faith Essentials. Okay, so what do we got in here? Haitian Bourbon and Java Vetiver. So you've already captured my attention. This seems like it's very zesty, zingy. Just due to Ylang-ylang, juniper, raspberry, geranium, mandarin orange, ginger. Those are very loud, projective notes. But I love the complexity of vetiver here. I love when they mix vetivers. I might have to try this out, buddy. If you think this is a smash hit, I might cop this, buddy. I might have to pick that up. And again, I appreciate you always for the unique recommendations. Does this smell too unique? Oh, that's funny. Hey, great minds think alike, Joel. Golf instructor Molinard. Joel, I can't even pronounce the fragrances you recommend, buddy. That's okay, though. I have to learn too. I love when I see mineral notes. And it's because I immediately think of Ganymede, which I absolutely love. I think of Effing Fabulous by Tom Ford, which I don't super love, but I appreciate the kind of sexy, rough and tough suede they were going for. But it kind of has a mineralic to it as well. Oud wood, you know. Yeah. Let me know. I definitely let me know if the Fathele Loden is any good. It's got some good reviews here. Looks like it's only a few, but it's something. But I'm a sucker for vetiver, so I like some stuff in the vetiver category people don't even like. But yeah, this definitely looks like a good recommendation for a golfer. You know, fresh, invigorating, woody, earthy, amber. You just can't go wrong with something like that. Oh, gotcha. Molinard ginger. Gotcha. Okay, guys. Well, hey, I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in, especially for the people who tuned into the chat. Um, we hit our 1,000 subscribers. Matter of fact, we flew past it. As soon as I got to 1,000 subs, we're already almost at 1,100 subs. You know, we hit 1,050 in like 2-3 days. So make sure you check out the Scent Bubble, guys. Like, comment, and subscribe. Do me a favor. I'm not just asking for a free follow. You know, if you click my videos, I upload every single day. 3-day, 4-day, 5-day, 6-day, 7-day. Every day we upload reviews, game shows, hot takes. I have a good variety of content. We did a blooper with my son recently just to show you guys some of my family. I'm constantly uploading, and this is all for you guys. I don't benefit from this. I'd put all this effort into my channel for you guys. It's an endless amount of videos reviewing all the fragrances that you've heard and never heard of, and I want you guys to know about them. The channel is growing really fast, and now that we've hit the 1K mark, it's starting to really take off, you know? And I want you guys to be a part of it. I appreciate everybody who really tunes in, and I appreciate when you make your face known, because I like to spend extra time and care into people who I feel like are really contributing to the conversation of fragrance, specifically on my channel. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for tuning into the live. I hope you enjoyed the live. We answered some good questions. We played a little bit of Wheel of Fragrance. I don't try to make my lives a fragrance review live. I try to make my channel I try to make my lives about you getting to meet me personally. So we hang out. I allow it to be a fragrance Q&A in case you saw a previous episode and had a question, in case you've never seen my channel before and you're just popping in to ask a question about fragrance and grab and go. If you want to see the person who makes these videos on a more chill level, and then I give you a little bit of entertainment value with the Wheel of Fragrance so we don't have any dead space on my live. There's always something being talked about. So it's casual, but it's very intentional. And so I just turn the camera on at least once a week to say hi to you guys personally and to interact with some of the people who stick their heads out and say, hey, I'm one of those 1,000 subscribers. So I appreciate all you guys for tuning in. Joel, thanks so much for your perspective and your experience with fragrance. You always contribute something extremely valuable to this channel. And I wish you posted more on your personal YouTube. Put a pencil in it and think about that down the road. That would be really cool. William, thank you for tuning in. Gage, thank you for tuning in. Bracelets by Danny, thank you so much for tuning in. And everybody else who has tuned in but didn't sound off in the chat, I hope you guys have a great holiday. We have Christmas coming up on Tuesday, I believe. Somewhere around there. And yeah, I'm sure for Christmas, we're going to have a lot of new fragrances coming in. I know I keep saying that we're almost completely done with my collection, but then we get more fragrances. I think we have about 30 or 40 more new fragrances to review, and then we're going to start going to more conceptual videos. I do have conceptual videos that are dropping this weekend, so you'll get a small taste of a non-review based video where we kind of look at different topics of conversation in fragrance that I think are just as interesting as the reviews. This is the Scent Bubble. I appreciate you guys tuning into my live and hope you have a blessed weekend. Enjoy yourselves. It's Friday night. Relax, have fun, and until next time, peace.